Hello Guardians and welcome back. This is Rightway Gaming bringing you another video today on Destiny 2, and today I'm going to be covering the patch notes released by Bungie with the update that came today along with Iron Banner. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to do it in order as what they've released on the patch notes. So first up, in Destiny Update 1.1.2, that's a mouthful, the one about Armor Masterworks. Of course, the first thing up, Armor Masterworks. So, Legendary Armor now has a chance to drop as Masterwork. Whoop! Boom! Any non-Masterwork armor may be upgraded to Masterwork for 5 Masterwork cores and 20 Legendary Shards. So that's a little bit less than what you do for the weapons, where it's 10 Masterwork cores, but you're paying a little bit more Legendary Shards from what I can remember. Upgrading to Masterwork may rework the stat of the armor. So in other words, if it's survival, if it's endurance, resistance, etc., those stats will change to end up basically being mobility or recovery, for example. So there is a way of changing armor to different stat rolls now rather than being stuck as a certain one, which I think is great because it adds more customization to your character. Masterwork armor grants 3% damage resistance while players are in a super state for each Masterwork armor piece equipped. Masterwork armor can have a different stat package, heavy, light or restorative, from the base armor piece. Players may rework Masterwork armor to randomly assign one of the 3 base packages to the armor, allowing players to re-roll stat packages on their armor piece by piece. So like I said, more customizability to your character. No longer do you have to wear an entire set of Crucible armor and it all be mobility. You can have 2 as mobility, 2 as recovery and 2 as resistance. You know, but sorry, 1 as resistance because there's only 5 armor pieces, that's my mistake. Reworking Masterwork armor requires 1 Masterwork core, again less than weapons, so I find that interesting how they've changed that. I wonder if they're going to change weapons in the future. So 1 Masterwork core and 10 Legendary Shards, compared to the 3 Masterwork cores to re-roll a weapon. Like weapons, Armor Masterworks have a higher drop rate from Trials of 9 and raid activities. So yeah, pretty much a given, and especially now with the Prestige raid dropping double the amount of loot, kind of gives you a little bit more rewards. Next up, they talk about the raid. So Benedict 9940 now has a rotating stock of armor and weapons available each week. Awesome. To unlock these items for purchase, players must complete the corresponding activity that week. Raid encounters drop at least 1 armor or weapon item. So by the sounds of this, you've got to complete the activity before you actually get access to his stock, which is quite interesting. So there's kind of a lockout on it. So raid encounters now drop at least 1 armor or weapon every encounter. That's perfect. That means that you're definitely going to get something. Whereas I've done raids before where I've gone all the way through and got nothing, which believe me sucks. Note, the Castellum and Reactor Escape encounters each drop 1 legendary engram per week. So basically the ones that are easy, you don't get anything. Complete a prestige version of a raid encounter prior to normal difficulty will drop both prestige and normal rewards while also locking the weekly rewards for each activity. So in other words, rather than having to run the raid twice, if you run it once on prestige you get both lots of loot, but you cannot run the normal one afterwards and still get the loot for that. The last encounter of raid activities has a chance to drop a new exotic ghost exclusive to the Leviathan. Right, does that mean you can only get it to the Leviathan and not the raid lure? That's interesting. Raid armor has unique mods that only function within the Leviathan, we knew about this. Raid mods can be swapped at will for the cost of 1 raid token, perfect. That means that we can use our raid tokens for something else other than Benedict when he's useless. Existing raid armor already held in Adventure will automatically have the option to equip mods, so perfect, it means we don't have to grind for them if we've got a full set like I do. Boom! All raid encounters now have a chance to grant an exotic reward. Awesome, I didn't know that they didn't, if I'm honest. Sandbox, so Prometheus Lens. Flame Refraction perk now generates ammo instead of pulling from reserves, okay. Increased base damage, so it sounds like they might have finally sorted that gun out. Lucky Pants, fixed an issue where the illegally modded holster perk could provide infinite ammo. That's a good start. Ophidian Aspects, fixed an issue where the Cobra Totomic perk did not function properly when using weapons with the quick draw perk. Okay, I didn't know that, but I don't really use them. I Am Alive, revised perks on the Eater of Worlds grenade launcher to include a second trait perk, Moving Target. Remove the augmented drum and high velocity round perks. Okay, that's interesting. Fixed an issue where grenade projectiles could remain indefinitely after being hit by Telesto in the Crucible. Okay. Right, now activities. Fixed an issue where warp gates did not always function when players were completing heroic Mercury adventures. That's helpful. Revise the description for the heroic adventure depowered modifier to correctly state that grenade damage is decreased when the modifier is active. That's, well, yeah. Revise the description of heroic Mercury adventures to properly state availability. Players may play up to 3 heroic Mercury adventures on a given day. Each heroic adventure may be played once per twice weekly reset. That doesn't make no sense. Heroic adventures are no longer automatically selected at weekly reset. Mercury challenges are now available during adventures. That's, yeah, well, again, it should have been in anyway. Fiction issue where new characters created after the release of Curse of Osiris were not receiving the Flashpoint milestones. Wow, I didn't even know that happened. That is probably quite bad. Fiction issue where scannable for faction rallies were not properly appearing during faction rally events. Again, that's not... well, I'm glad they fixed these before I noticed. Trials of the Nine now properly shows requirements when the feature map requires Curse of Osiris ownership. Revise the Lost Sector reward throttle from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. It's probably fair. Fixed an issue where players could no longer progress during the final encounter in the Tree of Probability Strike. That's, again, helpful. Now, the user interface. Patch notes. Fixed an issue where Ikora would display a waypoint in error. Players... well, that has irritated me for a while now, so I'm glad they fixed that. Players in social spaces receive a notification when the postmaster lost and found is full. That's helpful. Chest waypoints now properly appear when using scout reports on Mercury. Colorblind setting now apply to the elements of the Gauntlet encounter in the Leviathan raid. Oh, thank God for that. That is probably quite helpful for a few people that I know. Armor offered by Brother Vance now displays mod slots when previewed in the vendor inventory. Okay. Fix an issue where players would see incorrect level up UI when leveling up alternate characters from levels 21 through 25. Auto rifles now correctly display perks when players are previewing weapons within the vault. Adjusted the display order of gear sockets, mod shaders, etc. in the item screen to be more consistent. Increase the dismantle timer for Masterwork cores. Masterwork weapons and armor now display a gold border when being previewed in the Postmaster Lost and Found. That's helpful because you could end up getting rid of them by accident. Crucible players will be properly notified when power ammo is acquired from the cave area of Radiant Cliffs. And this is another interesting subject, rewards. So, starting up is probably a big one for people to listen to, is reduce the amount of XP required to earn an Illuminated Engram from 160,000 XP to 120,000 XP. That's quite a big chunk. It's just over a quarter, I think. Anyways, but yeah, I'm glad with that move. They might end up tweaking that again, if I'm honest. The Crossroads emblem correctly displays within collections for players who have earned the emblem. Character models no longer flinch when spawning into social spaces with spawn effects equipped. Updated the names of spawn effects to properly reflect their in-game appearance. Gold spotlight effect is now the yellow spotlight effect, okay. Blue class sigil effect is now the purple class sigil effect, what the hell. Oh god, that makes me laugh. The new Monica helmet ornament icon now displays the correct helmet. The new Monica cloak now displays the correct imagery for female hunters. Fix an issue where the future Warcraft gauntlets would display floating geometry. Okay. Gunsmith engrams correctly grant weapon foundry shaders once again. Fix an issue where 3 coins was not increasing chances for exotic rewards when players were completing public events on Mercury. Okay, that's pretty good. Heroic strike completions now have a greater chance of granting exotic rewards. Fix an issue where Curse of Osiris strikes were not properly granting clan engrams when featured as a Nightfall activity. Okay. Kite 99 will now offer Gunsmith engrams to players who have reached level 20 but have not yet completed the Red War campaign. Okay, that's interesting. And then last up we have Miscellaneous, which is just little changes they've made that don't really tie into anything. So first up we have Gleaming Boon of the Vanguard has been reduced from 350 Bright Dust to 250 Bright Dust. That's pretty good. Gleaming Boon of the Crucible price reduced from 750 to 600 Bright Dust. If you ask me, that's still too expensive, but oh well. Fix an issue where challenges were not appearing within quick play. That's been going on a while, so I'm glad to fix that. Fix an issue where Masterwork cards and mod components were not being forwarded to the Postmaster Lost and Found. Wow, that's quite irritating. Fix an issue where Destiny 2 could crash when players were changing emotes quickly. Fix an issue where players could not interact with vendors after fast travelling to a social space. Faced an issue where the belt on Lucky Raspberry was not properly attached to the character model. Faced an issue where some Sparrow contrails could obstruct player view. Faced an issue where the get up and sneaky emotes could not be in the player inventory at the same time. Now that's strange. Cade now properly acknowledges player accomplishments during Mercury Flashpoint weeks when granting the Flashpoint engram, rather than asking the player about the weather on Io. Faced an issue where Zavala would display the wrong text when granting players rewards from heroic milestones. So there's a few little changes there, a lot that you're not going to care about, but there's a lot of changes at the same time, including things like Masterworks, armor, etc. So, you know, there's stuff that you can grind for, and not only that guys, but of course it's Iron Banner this week. So if you don't want to do the raid to grind for the new stuff in the raid, by all means go out there and grind for the new stuff in Iron Banner. You know, there's something to do this week, so you take advantage of it where you can. I hope you've enjoyed watching and listening, and I will be back next week.